Hello everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith, and today we're going to be doing an unboxing, kind of like part 2 of our 7th Continent unboxing, because we've already done the actual base box, including its exclusives within it, but I also had these items which finally showed up, and I shouldn't say finally, because the turnaround time for these to show up after the base game got to me was super fast. I emailed the company and was able to get these things shipped out right away. The turnaround time was like, I think 3 days or something. It was extremely fast, 3 business days. So it was very, very quick. So I do want to definitely say a big thank you to them for turning over that correction that fast. So that just says a lot as to how much they're going to take care of the customers who purchase 7th Continent. So the really cool and exciting thing that I have to bring to the table for you guys today is the fact that 7th Continent has actually hit Kickstarter. So if you haven't heard about it, you can head to Kickstarter right now, search for the 7th Continent, and there is a live reprinting. But it won't be just a reprinting. It's also going to be including all of this stuff as well as the base box. Everything from the first Kickstarter will be involved by the end of the campaign. Currently not all of it's been revealed, but the really exciting part is for kind of experienced adventurers or individuals who are part of the first 7th Continent Kickstarter, you can jump in on the second one and there's new content. And I'm gonna basically direct you to the link, which I'll put in the description below. You can check that link out to go get more information on what that's all about. I'm not going to kind of go into detail on that in this video. In this video, I just want to show you what you get if you were to get these particular items from the Kickstarter. So if you're interested in the Fear of the Devourers, Facing the Elements, Path of Repentance, this logbook here, a bunch of sleeves, which are really handy because, well, first off, the cards are square, so I don't really have many sleeves. I don't think I have any sleeves that are square like this yet, so that's really nice. This is a nice bone dice pack and a dice bag, so that's cool because the dice that come in the base game are okay. They're not, I mean, they're dice, they're just 6-sided dice, but these are going to give it some theme. And yeah, so let's go ahead and crack into these. Again, for fear of spoilers, I will not be ripping through the decks of cards. I'm not going to be showing you the cards that are in the decks at all. I'll read the back of the box, we'll open it up, and that's about the extent of it for those 3 things. But we'll definitely open up the bag of dice, flip through this, and all that kind of stuff. Should be fairly quick. So let's go ahead and dive into it. So the first one we'll take a look at right off the top is probably the logbook, because it's taking up the most space. But the logbook's really, really nice. So again, if you are the type of person who will likely be writing something down, or you want to potentially do a really long adventure in the 7th Continent, and you want to track your progress, that's not just on a piece of loose leaf, randomly jotted down. They actually have provided a 7th Continent book here, or logbook, where you can actually go ahead and write stuff in. I know in the new Kickstarter, I believe they've also gone ahead and done a journal, I think is what it's called, and you're able to put your stored or saved cards or even acquired cards in this journal, which I think is extremely cool. So not only will you have the logbook, but you also could have the journal in tandem. The logbook here has places for everything, so it even has it kind of graphed out, so A's going up the side, or A to E going up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 across. It's got spots for all kinds of different, it's got a grid pattern here with different triangles across, and then 1 through 6 here at the bottom, which is kind of hard to see. But essentially, it's just a grid pattern. So you're able to go ahead and track things as you progress throughout the game. So it's just something better than loose leaf, really is what its purpose is. So it's going to go ahead and give you the option, and there's quite a bit. I would say, I'm not counting this, and they're certainly not numbered, but I would guess there's about 40 pages or so. It feels around that number, so that's a good solid amount, and it's fairly thick. Nice coil bound as well, so it'll hold up to wear and tear. So this is just a nice to have item, but I think it's cool. And I think if you're going on a big adventure in the game and you've got a lot of people in play, and you might be like, okay, well, let's go ahead and try to actually write some stuff down and track things, then that might be the best way to do it versus just on some sheet of loose leaf. So the other things we got here is some expansions, 2 other expansions, which I'm really excited about because these ones are thicker than the previous expansions, as you'll notice, because there are minis and there are standees in these ones. So I'm going to have a little bit more to show you with these ones because they're not just cards. So that'll be really cool. The next one we'll do probably is the bone dice, I think. So the bone dice comes in a very small white box because they're just dice. There is a dice bag inside of it, as it says here. So I'm just going to tear into this off camera. Now, just for your own reference, in the base game of 7th Continent, the dice that are actually part of the base game look like this. So, as you can see, they're small, but I mean, that's not a big deal. I actually kind of, for some strange reason, I like these dice. They're kind of like chiclets, tiny, but I like them. Even though they're really, really small, they work perfectly fine. But again, if you want to go down the thematic route, where most people like to, you know, basically spice their game up a little bit, I love doing that. And through a majority of my playthroughs, I'm always looking for ways to try to increase the theme or whatever. Even in Hoplomachus, for instance, I'm doing that right now, and I'm using, instead of just using dice to represent the score or the points on either side, I'm using gems. So it's the same thing with Gloomhaven. That playthrough, I used a ton of proxy stuff just to, you know, add some character to the game. This is not even just adding proxy. This is legitimately purchasing dice for them called bone dice. And the reason they're called bone dice is because, well, I don't believe it's just because they are bone color, although that would make sense. But they are similar. Oh, actually, I'm wrong. They're a little bit bigger. So let's do a comparison here. So you end up getting, in this bone dice pack, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 dice, and here you have 8 dice as well. So it's a complete replacement, flat out replacement for the base game dice, so that's good. Or of course you can always just keep them both in the deck, so that, or both in the box, so that you have the availability to use either. So this is really cool, and these, oh wow, these are actually really nice. So if I go ahead and kind of bring up to the camera so you can see them, they definitely have some theme, and they even, I love them already, because they look like they were just, you know, scratched into some stone, or, you know, it looks kind of like, I don't know, it fits the theme so well, because the game's all about exploration and stuff like this, and it just, they look like dice where they obviously didn't care enough about the engravings, and that's what I like. It's just kind of like, here's some etched in marks on the dice, gives it some character. They're not exactly perfect and not all aligned, but that's what makes it unique. It's kind of like, you know what, there was no time for that when you're facing the elements on this continent and stuff like this. They needed to have something really unique stand out, and to me that fits the theme 100%. You wouldn't have pristine dice like this in a game about adventure. You'd have dice like this. It looks like it's been charred or burnt or gouged into some wood or bone. It looks really cool. So, and they're also bigger. So I'll give you a little size comparison too. So again, size-wise, just a bit bigger. So that's always a plus. There's never any harm in that. That's nice. And again, weight-wise and stuff, I'll let you guys hear what it sounds like. The normal dice, and then this one here. So they're obviously being a bit bigger, and they're lighter. So what's weird is this die is actually heavier. This one has a lot of, it's lighter for sure, 100%. It's made of wood, so you'd think it would be heavier, but for some strange reason, in my hands anyway, it feels, well, I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe they're very, very close, but regardless, a little bit bigger dice, and actually they're kind of like the perfect size. These remind me of almost Brimstone sized dice, whereas I think these are almost a step down from Brimstone. They're even smaller than that. Anyway, so that's a really nice expansion, and then on top of it, or add-on, the dice bag, which is really cool, because who doesn't want to have a really cool 7th Continent dice bag to chuck your bone dice into? So again, there's obviously, you know, there's only so many of them. I always find these one thing I always think is really funny with dice bags, and this happens with every company, is that they always seem to make them really big when actually there's only like this much dice in the bag. It's still very cool because you want that symbol. That's what makes the whole bag cool. Otherwise, you could just go and purchase your own little sack from anywhere or create your own bag. So I do appreciate the fact that they put the logo on the front, because I think that's really cool. The dice are awesome. So I would highly recommend picking those up if you're into the thematic feel. The other plus too is I guess you have a place to put your other dice as well. So now it's even, you know, more. There's even more in there. Okay, so that's that. Bone dice and the logbook covered. So now we're going to go to the sleeves. Obviously with sleeves, there's not much else to say besides their sleeves. I could go ahead and throw a card in here for you, which maybe that's what I'll do. So let's do that. Let's take one of these sleeves out so you guys can see how well they hug the cards. Now the thing is, these sleeves are made specifically for the 7th Continent. So obviously their fit is going to be phenomenal, and they should be phenomenal because the company likely researched this. So sorry I just had to walk away from the camera here as I go get a card from the game, and I want to find one that's not going to spoil anything. So just give me a second here. This is perfect. Okay, so this is actually a clue from the first curse, but that's okay because the majority of people have seen this in a playthrough from different places. So anyway, here's your card, here's your sleeve, and you just simply drop it in. And that's kind of the snugness of it. So you've got nice room at the top, and it also hugs even closer on the sides. and it's perfect. There's not a lot of overhang, which is exactly what you want in a sleeve. It also has a nice premium feel. It's not bendy, it's not cheap. It's going to be, it feels like Mayday Premium or Fantasy Flight in terms of thickness. But yeah, that's going to be great. So the thing is, for me, I didn't get so many of these sleeves and I'm sleeving the entire thing. I've kind of stopped doing that. What I started doing with my sleeving now is I started focusing on what decks get shuffled the most and what decks I use in my hands the most. Because at the end of the day, sleeving a bunch of cards that you're not going to touch that often or shuffle doesn't really make a lot of sense. At least that was my opinion after a while. So what's going to happen now is we're going to have a bunch of players playing this. For instance, my friends come over. I will be sleeving all the action decks, basically your decks for your life. And those things I'll be using, no, I shouldn't say action decks, but just basically your player decks I will be sleeving. Everything else I'm not gonna bother. It's just not worth it to me. So you can though, if you are a person who absolutely loves sleeves, and there's nothing wrong with that, because I've gone down that road on a few games, I went crazy. But you can go ahead and pick up a ton of these 7th Continent sleeves. I think they even have in the new Kickstarter a gigantic package deal where you can get like enough sleeves to sleeve absolutely everything, including the new content. But anyway, I'll leave that for you to explore. So, moving on, these are sleeves, and they're pretty straightforward, so there's not too much else to talk with that. There's 50 that come in the pack. They're obviously made specifically for 7th Continent, and there's nothing else really to show you there. But again, highly appreciate the fact the company went the next step to have sleeves made for this, because these square patterns are not as common. It would be very difficult for people who enjoy sleeving their games to find them. Not to say they're super hard to find, because there are companies out there that do that size, but they're not as typical, and especially in a retail store, good luck trying to find those ones unless they have a really, really nice set or stock. So, got a bunch of, being really picky with the foam that's really collecting on my table here. Okay, so last couple things are these guys and this. So this is really the meat of everything. It's going to be the expansions themselves. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit farther so we can get close up of what's going on. So we'll open up the Path of Repentance first, because this is going to be really quick. So basically the back says, Path of Repentance, try to stand the test of time. The path will be difficult, and you will need to be penitent to reach its end. I think they meant patient to reach it. I don't know. Maybe you guys can let me know what they meant with that one, or maybe I'm just misinterpreting it. But regardless, this is the Path of Repentance. So looks really cool. Nice pocket watch with a mechanical thing on it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to crack this open. This is obviously just big enough to be a pack of cards. So I don't even really have to open this up to know that. It's quite obviously exactly the size of a deck of cards. It does say on the back it has 30 cards. So I'm going to crack this open now. See if I can get to the plastic. And there we go. Okay, that was a little tough, but I got it. Won't let the plastic defeat me. So here we go. There's the here's the box taken off the plastic, cracking it open, and sure enough, there's your deck of cards. 30 of them, in fact. There's probably a rule sheet in here. Yes, there is. So maybe we'll take a look at the rule sheet, see what it says. So just so you guys have an idea as to what happens when you get these rule sheets in the game, it says the cards of this mini expansion have the unique ID number going from that to that, 251 to 280. You may prepare them in the game box before you start your game, following the same guidelines as with cards from the base box, and make sure that for each number, green adventures are always placed before gold. If you decide to play with this mini expansion, store the pocket watch card under the satchel and journal card at the beginning of the game. So it's very simple. So the really cool thing is this is the same, and I didn't show you this in the other unboxings, but they have a card like this for every single box. So you can go ahead and merge all your cards in. There's a lot of people on Board Game Geek asking, should I be putting everything in? You can put everything in. Obviously, there's some dilution there and stuff, and there's some people that will say, it cuts your odds of seeing certain things, and that's completely true. Obviously, the more you add in, the less chance you have of seeing a particular card. So you may want to add one at a time, but at the same time, the majority of people may not have the time to actually explore all the curses, then add the expansion, explore all the curses, add another expansion. Like, that just seems like a lot of work. So for me personally, I think I'm going to just put it all in and just go crazy and just see it all kind of going at once. Because to me, it's like I'd rather just know that it's all there and play it and see what happens. But to be honest, you can do it however you want. That's the beauty of the game. And it gives you the numbered, like I said, gives you the numbered cards so you can take them out later if you don't want them in there or something like that. So whatever you want to do. So here you go. This is your pocket watch. Sorry for the non-focus there. Come back. And all right, so that focus is not going to work. But anyway, so here's the pocket watch card. Essentially, you put this under your journal satchel card. But again, I'm not going to spoil anything. There is a curse on this, so I don't know. I'm assuming that's a new one. That's cool. I didn't know actually there was a curse in this one, so that's good to know. Moving on, we've got these two. These are what I'm really excited about. And the reason I'm excited is because there's miniatures and there's really cool elemental effects and weather effects in these ones. So this is going to be really exciting. So I'm going to do Fear of the Devourers first. And we'll go ahead and cut the box open. Try not to destroy it at the same time. And see what's inside. I'm sorry there that I got this thing zoomed in so far, but these are smaller box expansions. I want you guys to be able to actually see what's inside when I put it on the table here, so just bear with me as we go through that. First, I'll take a quick read of the back so you guys can see what this is all about. So maybe what I'll do is I'll zoom out for this. The camera will, perfect. Okay, so Fear of the Devourers. Beware of the unstable devourers. They can erupt from the ground at any moment, and once they have your scent, they will hunt you to the ends of the continent. So there you go. There's 3 different molds, it looks like. So it even says here, 7 rock worm figures, 2 adults, 1 giant, 4 juvenile worms, 2 adults, and 1 giant. Okay, that makes more sense. And 30 cards to spice up your adventure. It cannot be played without the 7th Continent base game. That is for sure. So essentially, you're going to get a deck of cards about the same size as what you saw in the Path of Repentance that I just opened. But in addition, you're getting these cool miniatures that are likely to come out and cause you misery when you play. Again, you get another card that will specify all the information you need to know about the particular expansion. So there you go. You can take a look at that. It even tells you how to implement it, put it into the game. So that's really cool. Again, a brand new deck of cards, of which I'm not going to spoil too much. Looks pretty cool. I'm going to keep these separate so I don't get them mixed up. And the miniatures themselves. These are what I'm kind of interested in. I want to see the quality of these things. They actually look pretty cool, and they actually look really good. Off the bat here, I'm looking through the plastic, of course, so just give me a second while I rip the tape off. I would do that on screen, but it's not really that enjoyable for you guys to see me try to struggle to take tape off, so I'm hiding that from you. Okay, so let's start with the juvenile worms. Juvenile rock worms, I guess they're called. Come on. Oh, there we go. All of them came out. Okay, so you're going to get 4 of these guys. They're pretty cool, actually. They're like little slugs. But they're not. They're rock worms, whatever those are. So here are the juvenile rock worms. That's pretty cool. Let me see if I can get those kind of all in one area. There we go. That's a little better. Perfect. So there you go. Like detail-wise, they're decent enough to paint. Nothing super crazy, but they're cool. And then, let's see, these 2 guys, they're a little bit bigger. They have a little bit more size and stuff like that, so a little larger. But a little bit more detail too, as you can see. Like, so the painting on these ones would be a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more that you can add to those. And then finally, the last one is just a full-size adult, I'm assuming. If that card, the card's gone now, but anyway, this guy's big. This is maybe it's just the big one. Those 2 I just showed you, I think, are the adults. But this one has, yeah, it's got some good detail. So again, like painting-wise, that'd be fun to paint. It'd also be really quick to paint. So that's something that it might be worth my while to actually paint these ones because, you know, in terms of total number of miniatures, there really isn't that many in this game. But it is really nice they decide to include them instead of just tokens. So I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to adding these in 100% to the game. I don't know which I haven't really determined what I'm going to be adding in or not adding in. That's going to be the fun part. I know on camera just a few minutes ago I said I'd put it all in. It's probably going to happen. I've already put the rest in. I've already put the ones that are already opened up in together. But we'll see. I might maybe I'll change my mind or something. But as of right now, I think I'm going to be going in the all-in approach. Just dropping it all in, hoping for the best. Okay, the last one, which I'm really excited about, is called Facing the Elements. This is probably the coolest of all of them, in my opinion, so I left this one to last. This is going to allow us to basically bring in weather effects and things like that. So, Facing the Elements here says, thunderstorms, blizzards, tornadoes, brave the elements and hope that you can survive their fury. So as you can see, you got some really cool weather effects up on top of these standees. The expansion obviously is for the 7th continent. It has 5 cardboard figures, so you get fog, thunderstorm, snowstorm, astral mist, and a tornado. So, oh, so terrible. I don't think there's, I was looking for one that said like calm day, but I'm assuming if there is no weather effect, it is a calm day. So that makes sense. You get 40 new cards to spice up your adventure, and obviously can't be played without 7 Continent. So we're going to cut into this, and we're going to take a look and see what's involved with this one. Alright. And I apologize here as the focus has run away from me, so I'm just going to bring it back. There we go. I want that blurriness. So plastic is off, and there's the box. Take a quick open, and I'll see if I can actually build these on screen for you guys. This one's a little bit thicker. There's a lot more cardboard in here, but that's because you've got, oh, these are super cool. So basically you have 5 actual cardboard cutouts. So tornado, thunderstorm, I mean, that's the snow, or snowstorm I should say. This one is fog, obviously. And then this one, I'm not sure what the heck. This must be the astral mist, I guess. So these are all things, and of course you just simply pop them out. So there's no issue there. I'll just do that right on screen with you guys because these are fairly simple to do. So you punch all these out, and then once they pop, and they pop out fairly easily too. The only ones that hook, they seem to catch is there's 2 on either side that are a little bit stronger than the rest, but you know, just like that, you've got them all off. So now you've got your pile of 5 different. They should be on a certain side probably. Not that it matters, but they're cool. So again, they're just going to add thematic feel to the game. So now you're going to have these kind of weather effects, which is really, really cool to add into the game. Of course, you get a new deck of cards. It's got some stuff that's specific kind of spoiler territory, so I'll leave that alone. But there are your 5. And you also get a plastic bag of kind of bases as well as stands. So very similar to X-Wing, where you get like kind of a stand, and then you simply just drop your stand into your base. Boom. And then of course you just simply grab this and put them on. So they obviously made these simple enough to put together without any large amounts of effort, and also very easy to take them apart, because of course when you're done playing you are going to want to put this game away. And so it's good that they went the extra step there and included a way to actually build these things fairly easily and quickly. And just dropped one on the floor. And I got it. Okay, sorry about that. Let's see. I know I'm doing this off camera, so just bear with me as I build this here, because if I do this on camera, I'll probably drop it on the ground again. There we go. So basically how you do it is you got your base, you got your stand, you put this cardboard token on top, and there's a little cap that you put on top, essentially puts into place. When you're done, you can just yank the top off, or you can just pick away the actual top cap, take it off, and put it away back in the box. But there you go. So you got about, I'd say there's probably 3.5 inches maybe there. So again, it sits off the table nice and high. So if this, for instance, was one of the cards, you know, your weather effects way above it. That's really cool, because if you have all this other stuff going on in the continent, you can actually see the thunderstorm happening in that particular location. I think that's amazing. So this is one of the reasons when I saw this expansion, I was like, this is a must-have for me, because I just like theme, and this just oozes it once you see the weather effects on a continent. It's just so cool. So I really hope that, I mean, obviously I haven't seen the mechanics of how these work yet, so I'll have to see. It's kind of left to be seen whether or not these are going to be fun. But you know, my assumption is they've done their homework and they know what they're doing, so they're adding these in and have done a good job with it. So hoping for the best during the playthrough that we're gonna do soon. Maybe you'll see it. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, keep on rolling solo.